All right, welcome back to the channel. Deontay Wilder, victim of WBC racism. New media exposes flagrant double standard for glove violations. And it's not an easy thing for me to say because I usually do not like to run around and say things like that. But it's time. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, I wake up in the morning, and I wake up early in the morning. And I have been very keenly focused on BoxingEgo's channel out of New Media because he's doing an absolutely wonderful job talking about the WBC. He brought up things about some glove double standards for glove violations. And then the WBC, my understanding is, responds and points out and says, hey, man, we're not being racist, whatever. Okay? No, man. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, we're going to treat it like it's a duck. And right now, Mr. Suleiman, you are quacking all over the place. Now, first, I do not usually do that. I do not believe, me personally, for non-international boxing, I never thought that Mexicans, Asians, other people who are non-black, who are also non-white, I've never considered them as racists. I've always thought them as fellow victims of the system that causes us problems and causes them problems, but yet they don't always recognize that we have the same problems. And that is how I think of it, which is why I can watch what Mauricio Suleiman does. I can watch what other people do. And I don't willy-nilly call people that, even though people call me that all the time because I support black fighters. In this scenario, I cannot go off what my definition is, and I'm going to go off the way people use it regularly, which is that you are mistreating people based on the fact that they got color in their skin, period. And if that's the functional definition, I don't know what else the WBC is supposed to have black people think. You stole 2 championship opportunities from black fighters just this year. You refuse to support Deontay Wilder in the enforcement of a rematch clause right now. You refuse to support Deontay Wilder when he was suing to get paid from Alexander Povetkin when Alexander Povetkin popped dirty for performance-enhancing drugs. You didn't support Deontay Wilder on that, and Alexander Povetkin and Rubenski kept to keep those millions of dollars. You stole an opportunity for a fight for Regis Prograis against Jose Ramirez that you promised him. And now you refuse to investigate the glove claim despite the fact that you've done the same thing for others, according to a report and video provided by BoxingEgo. How are we supposed to think anything else? If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You are mistreating black fighters, and I see it left and right. Francouz Cruz de Jorn. Everybody on the planet knows that Alejandro Jimenez was either actually a man or was on performance-enhancing drugs. You blew it off like people were just stupid for even asking it. You are not being fair, even-handed. You are not being fair. Not at all. Not at all. And what are people supposed to think about you? What would you think about me? If every time I was making a decision and a black fighter came to me and I always decided against that black fighter, and 5-6 times in a row, I find a way to find against the black fighter in different circumstances. There are no black franchise champions. The only franchise champions are non-black people that duck black people to get the franchise champion, and you created the award to allow them to do it. You created the franchise champion to allow Canelo Alvarez not to fight Jermall Charlo. You created the WBC franchise belt to allow Vasily Lomachenko not to fight Devin Haney. And when Teofimo Lopez comes your champion, you give him the franchise belt so he can duck him. What are they supposed to call you? What are they supposed to think about you? What are they supposed to say about you? I can't sit back with my old kumbaya, we're all brothers of color nonsense when you don't think that, when you don't treat people like that. How can I walk around and with any amount of honesty say I support the WBC when you do those things? And let me walk through them again, just piece by piece, so you can see why people believe you are what they believe you are. Because it does not matter what I think you are. It matters what boxing fans think you are. And you may not care what black boxing fans think, but I hear what they think. You stole 2 opportunities from American fighters to fight for a major championship belt. You stole 2. 3, really, that I can name. 2 this year, or 2 within the last 12 months. And another one not too long before that, and let's talk about him. Jermall Charlo did everything he was supposed to do to become the mandatory for Canelo Alvarez. You know full well, and I know full well, that that's why he took the WBC route, to get to Canelo Alvarez. But you said Canelo Alvarez was too important to fight him. So you called him the franchise, and you moved him up. You didn't do any. You just stole an opportunity from Jermall Charlo to get a career-winning fight. That's what you did. You stole the opportunity from him because he wouldn't have cared whether it was the WBC, the WBA, the IBO, the XYZ, the 1-2-3, any of that. If he could have got in the ring with Canelo Alvarez on a pay-per-view, had an opportunity to win and make a living, but you denied it from him. You denied it. You denied him. So that they could stay, so that no matter what, he would stay with you and pay you. And then you did the same thing to Devin Haney. The same thing, despite the fact that you said it was non-transferable. Oh, this is just special from Canelo. This is not to protect Canelo. This is just special for Canelo because he's just this super huge star. Really? Then why is Teofimo Lopez one? That is not what he is. And do not lie and say Teofimo Lopez is some star. He's maybe the number 3 dude financially in the lightweight division. Kick rocks with that. Gervonta Davis is the cash cow in lightweight. So why in the world don't you franchise him? And since he ain't got to fight for the belt, just make up a franchise. Just name him franchise and say, hey, he don't even have to fight for our belt. We'll just give him the franchise. And then if he wants to wear it that day, then we'll charge him 3%. And we'll just make it optional. Dude, you guys are out here looking terrible. So those are the 2 you stole. Then you refused to support Deontay Wilder in the rematch clause. When Deontay Wilder exercised his first rematch clause in a fight that he got a draw in, and Tyson Fury acted like he didn't want the fight, you ordered the fight. You ordered it. You ordered the rematch, which would have prevented what? Deontay Wilder from going anywhere. Because he was the only person that you could enforce that on because Tyson Fury didn't hold the WBC belt. So when Tyson Fury acted like he wanted to go away, you put a sanction on, or you put a limitation on Deontay Wilder and gave him a rematch. So in case Tyson Fury decided he wanted it and changed his mind, you could force Deontay Wilder into taking that fight, but you did not do the same thing now for Deontay Wilder when Tyson Fury is skipping out on his rematch clause. And you don't think we think that has something to do with the fact that this man has too much melanin in the skin, and you don't think you can sell him, or other people are out here running around talking about what a terrible fighter he is with all this other nonsense? Because that's the opposite of a franchise, and that's what you want, the franchise. It's not unreasonable to think that that's based on race. And you can say that if you think it's unreasonable, I don't care, because ain't nobody listening to you anyway, dude. You guys are a joke. And that's just the truth. The sanctioning bodies have been a joke for a long time. But when Mauricio Sulaiman changes the rules of investigating gloves, skimmed gloves, They had gloves that he was investigating that looked just like the ones with Tyson Fury, but not anywhere near as damaged. And he never, ever got the gloves and took the gloves from Tyson Fury. And he didn't investigate, and he dang sure didn't get up there and try to convince everybody that the WBC, as the executive secretary of the WBC, right, like with them, that you really cared about those, I can't remember what I named, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 Hispanic names for a fight that took place in Mexico. You wanted to make sure that the Mexican fans had full confidence in that. But you don't care about us having full confidence in this. What else are people supposed to think? What are we supposed to think? If it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, people are going to call you a duck. And I don't mean the type of fight, and I don't mean the type that ain't going to take a fight. Let's fix the problem, man. Let's fix the problem. But the first things first, treat boxers fairly. And do not mistreat people because they have color in their skin. And guess what? You thinking somebody may not sell in the future because they have color in their skin is the same thing as mistreating somebody because they have color in their skin. Stop doing it, because people will see it, and it will be a pattern. And there is right now a pattern of behavior with the WBC and Mauricio Sulaiman that justifies it. And any other person saying that's not true, dog, just go ahead, get your tap shoes on and tap dance out the door, because that is the truth. And with that, I'm out. Peace.